All right, guys, here we are. We're live. I am sorry I'm a little bit late getting my lighting set up. Great to be here. So, first one of the day, we got members coming up at 10 o'clock. We are, again, I'm without my beautiful and lovely wife because she is out competing with dogs, which is what I should be doing. But instead, I'm here with you guys because this is also my passion. You know, just helping you guys learn more about dogs, give your dogs a better life is what I really love to do. I'm grateful every day I get to do this. I say this all the time, moving my camera around to make sure that I'm perfectly centered. Okay. Also, guys, just one quick note. The yellow hat. My favorite yellow hat. I wear it all the time. I'm putting it on sale today. Only today. $10 off, $19.99. You're only going to get it during this show. So if you go afterwards, it's going to be back to $29. And actually, there's only a few of these in stock, so they may all be sold out. Only U.S. shipping, sorry, but check this out. Look at this. Tell me that's not the coolest hat you've ever seen. You know what? I'm going to wear it during the show. How about that? Again, a couple quick, simple rules. I don't want to begrudge you from asking questions, but I want you guys to follow a couple simple rules. Excuse me. And that is question marks before your questions. And I will get to them, I will answer them, and I will address them. If I miss one, that's what happens. The other thing, too, is we are nearing on, or I am nearing on, not we, I mean, but we, because we are all part of this, we are nearing on 200,000 active subscribers on YouTube. So I would like to get that up to 200,000 this next week. I really want you guys to be a part of it. You are a part of it. You're all active subscribers. But if you're not a subscriber, if you happen to just bump into this show on accident, or not on accident, or intentionally, please be sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you'll know when I'm going to be live, which is regularly. It's at least a few times a month. And that. So incidentally, this hat here is a mesh back hat. This is the regular logo hat that I always wear and always sell. This is a special hat. Now, you know, I've got a little thing about my hair, so I'm always putting a hat back on. This hat here is a little different. It's an all wool blended cap. It's not a snapback. It's an elastic back. There's no mesh, so it's an all kind of super, super cool hat. But again, I'll wear that one during the show so that we know. But by the way, I'm not bald. I just don't like not wearing a hat. I'd rather be in a hat. So I'm going to go here at random because there's too many things. So if I missed, I'm starting down the list a little bit. You can ask your questions again, and we will get to it. Here are, can I post a video of Janet's competition? You know, Janet posts those videos, and if you guys go follow her on Instagram, it would really help get her to 10,000 subscribers. Look for her on Instagram. That's the easiest way to do it. And she always posts stuff there. So, okay, so we're going fast now. Okay, here, Lisa says, I can put these on the screen, so it's actually easy for me to read, because if not, I'm doing this squinting thing, and I know you guys must hate that. How to determine if a 1-year-old male burner is playing with 2-year-old male burner or is trying to dominate him. If playing, I do not want to correct and read it. Well, it's easy. You need to look at body language. Basically, the easiest way to understand what dogs are doing is to look at their overall personalities, listen to their intonations, their tones. And it is kind of an art form to do that. When I was working at the shelter, that was something that I tried so hard to teach people by showing them what I was looking for. And some people get it and some people don't. Some people just really don't understand that. But the body language is stiffness, intense growling, stiff tail wagging, stiff posture, hackles up, or a combination of those. Remember that not any one thing is an indication of aggression or non-aggression, but it's a combination of those. And you just need to watch and learn your dogs and learn your dog's language. But just be careful, right? Don't let them overplay. I always stop play just before it's enough, because as long as the dogs learn that I can control, that makes it really easy for the dog. Somebody asked here before if Bound Angels is an online course, and I'm going to put, Bound Angels is not anymore. I'm going to do Bound Angels on, with this whole COVID thing, I've changed the demographic and the format of Bound Angels. So right now what I'm going to do in this next year is, and Al and I are working on this every day, we will be putting an online course up that will teach what I've taught for 10 plus years in shelters. It's going to be an online course. It's not going to be a monthly membership, but it's going to be something really, really cool. Again, I'm looking for the question marks like this one from Joshua. How do I work through a 1-year-old pup suddenly not responding to commands we have been practicing since 12 weeks? Well, that's just going to be, puppies do this, right? At certain windows, they just go, you know what, I'm not going to do this. And they're going to see that if you're going to stay with it. So don't come down very hard on the dog, but make sure the dog knows that he must perform those things. Remember, dog training is not something we do as an option. It's something that's almost obligatory, because you want to increase your relationship with this dog. You want to teach him. Sometimes kids don't want to eat their dinner. Sometimes kids don't want to go to school. We make them, right? And I hate to say that, because then people say, oh, you're an authoritarian. And I am. But that being said, you must make the dog do it, and you can do it by hook or crook. Make it fun. Don't feed the dog unless you're doing something. Always make the dog work for something. It'll make it a lot easier. Let's see. UK is in the house. Hey, Ron, how are you? Here's Salma, who says, should I get a harness for my Chihuahua puppy? He pulls and chokes himself on a slip lead and Martingale. If I shouldn't, how can I teach him not to pull? Well, little tiny dogs, you can get a tiny prong, by the way. You can get a teeny tiny prong and teach the dog what you really want from him or what you expect from him. But on the flip side, with Bosman was always on a harness. And if he's a little tiny, a 5-pound dog, I would still teach the dog good manners, but it's much different teaching small dogs. And I know people have said, and I've seen it. I've been at competitions where a little Papillon will beat everybody else in obedience because somebody did it, right? So that's not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying it's a very different animal. So yes, put the dog on a harness. Do what's good for your dog. Gavin, Bo. What's the right amount of advice to give someone who has a behavioral issue in their dog when you have not seen the dog? Well, that's a tricky question. If you're somebody who's worked with a lot of dogs, and there are a lot of really good trainers out there who can give advice based on what they're hearing, it's an assessment, it's a guesstimation, then you can give them as much information as you know, but don't exceed it. I never give medical advice. I do my best never to give really intense advice if I don't know, if I haven't seen a video or seen the dog. But there are people who know things who can kind of give information that will be beneficial. It's better to get some information and weigh it out. Mel, 9-month-old German Shepherd pit mix. I was checking my audio. I look over here at my audio all the time just to kind of make sure everything's going well, because I don't have headphones on and I'm not getting much feedback from here. So, all right, let's see. Pit mix, German Shepherd pit mix has known my family member since 8 weeks old, very affectionate. He has 2 episodes barking at nephew 8 and adult like. She doesn't know them. What's going on? I don't understand the question. She doesn't know. Okay. She's barking at an adult and an 8-year-old nephew like she doesn't know them. You need to, again, look at the entire body language of the dog. Is the dog really barking at them in an aggressive type manner, or is the dog trying to initiate play from them? A lot of times dogs will do that. They'll try to initiate some kind of play with the dog, with the person, and then that makes it hard for you to understand exactly what's going on. And sometimes that's misread. Sometimes people tend to misread that as far as being aggressive, and that's what you don't want to do. You want to kind of, stop playing around with my cameras. You want to kind of assess it. So you must be able to draw a good conclusion on what's going on with the dog. Barking alone is not aggression. That's really important to understand. And people always think it is. People say, oh, the dog's barking, and growling, or snarling, or doing this, or showing his teeth. And although those can be signs of aggression, and I talk about this in the shelter dog training that will be going up very soon, that you must look at the entire dog. But to protect the child, I would obviously try to keep the dog restrained, either in a crate or something like that, and on a leash, until you can see what's going on there better. Again, I'm scrolling through these. This one, very hard for me to pronounce. My 10-month-old female German Shepherd resource guard me when other dogs come too close to me, like go between me. Yeah, so yeah, the reason your 10-month-old German Shepherd is doing that is because you don't have a solid authoritative relationship with the dog. And that's not uncommon. And it's not uncommon when people get very dominant bred dogs like German Shepherds, like Malinois, like Rottweilers, like Pit Bulls, like Mastiffs, like Corsos, like any of these dogs. Unless you're able to, and this goes true with other dogs too, but more commonly with a more dominant bred dog, the dog will assume that position. My dog knows I'm completely in control. I handle everything. You don't handle that. And that makes a much safer relationship for my dog because my dog knows that I'm in control. That's really critical. That's why I talk about training our dogs so much, because if you don't give the dog that information, he will try to figure that out. And that is always a disaster. Jamie, my dog hates baths. How can I make him okay with them? This just reminds me of people who say, my kid hates baths. So you have two options. One, you can just never bathe your dog. Well, three options. You can never bathe your dog. You can give your dog to a groomer who will figure it out. Or three, you can make the bath okay. And I just answered that question on an Ask Me Anything, whereas I told the person, the viewer, to feed the dog in a bathtub, then turn the water on in the bathtub, then get the dog a little bit wet. You know, food is the greatest friend you have for training your dog, because your dog must eat, and your dog, in their brains, in their instinct, they know that they must sometimes go through adversity to get that food. For example, a wild animal, and all animals, by the way, are wild, including humans. If you have to eat, and you have to do something to get that food. If you have to walk through fire because you haven't eaten in a week, you're going to walk through fire to get to the food. And if you make it that important for your dog to get the food, that they must go through some adversity, they must give you what you want, then that's what you'll do. Now, as any good husband would do, I'm going to look at my wife just texted me. My wife, Janet, who you know is now my wife. Okay. But there's things, this is very important, but she is more important. So, okay, anyway, let's go. Okay, David says the yellow hats are still regular price on website. Alan, you got to get on that. Just sit tight, David. If you can send me a text, once that's done, then you should order the yellow hat. Don't order them now because they're still too expensive. Okay, this set doesn't have a question mark, as it should. Ram Rahul, but I'm going to answer it anyway because I just clicked on it totally by accident. How can I make my German Shepherd bark towards range? Well, I wouldn't teach your dog that unless your dog is okay. So Alan says, and it's the price of this hat you changed, Alan. Is that correct? Guys, it's only the yellow only hat, not the yellow and black hat. So, and if it's still, refresh your page and do it. And again, I don't mean to segue. I wouldn't change the dog's behavior. If the dog is friendly, the dog is doing everything right, and then the dog barks at strangers, it's too much work. It's too much to undo, because then the dog will just at willy-nilly bark. So what you can do is you can teach the dog a bark command, how to bark, and then you can put that on command and in directional. That's kind of what I would do. Carlin, what is the best thing to do when your dog loses focus in a training session? Push through or stop? Hi from South Africa. Oh, South Africa, very cool. Carlin, what I would do is I would push through to the level I know the dog can handle it. So in other words, if somewhere in the training session, first of all, I'm going to know about how long my dog can train. All dogs can usually train between 5 and 20 minutes. Now, if I'm in that 5, 7, 10, 12-minute window and my dog is losing focus, I'm going to re-engage the dog, because more than likely, I'm getting boring during my training, and that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to get boring and turn off my dog. So I need to stay active. I need to stay engaged. I need to stay motivated. I need to stay focused and to keep the training going. Once you go flat, your dog's going to go flat. Your dog will be a mirror of you. Okay, Alan assures me that hats are on sale now. So check it out and let me know. You got to go to robertcabral.com/shop and look for the yellow only hats. It's a little chore for you guys. I'm seeing some of you guys here who don't have question marks, but I will here. Okay, Tiago with a bottle of Jack Daniels. That's very cool. Thank you very much. Cheers from the Portuguese in the Netherlands. All right, Portuguese. Always appreciate Portuguese. My father is Portuguese. I'm a first-generation American. I'm a son of immigrants, and I love my heritage, my Portuguese and my German heritage, both. Sandy says, have 2 male German Shepherd pups just turned 10 months. Why do you have 2 pups that are 10 months old together? Riddle me that, because I think we're getting into problems. Okay. I should have drank that like this, so you can see we also have the mug. A lot of products, a lot of swag here. 2 male German Shepherd pups just turned 10 months old. Yesterday, one of them reared up and started snarling and teeth the other pup. Tail up, ear straight. Is this aggression? Probably. If you have 2 litter mates or 2 puppies of the same age and the same sex, you're just asking for trouble. Any breeder who would sell you 2 litter mates or 2 dogs of the same age is just not a good breeder. I'm going to say it. It's just not right. It's not fair. It's not good. It's not ethical. So again, now I'm saying it could be, but if it's not, it will be. It's rare to see that 2 dogs of the same age, because they're fighting for structure, right? They have to know where they fall in their relationships with each other. It's just the way it is. People are going to say, oh, dogs aren't like, they are like that. Believe me, I see it with Jimmy and Goofy and Dwayne. They're 3 males, and I see it. I've seen it 100 times, 1,000 times. I've seen, it's something you need to get that relationship under check, Sandy. Seriously, you do. Raina. Oh, well, I think Raina, aren't you the same Raina who had the different name before, and now you have a name? Before you were just in katakana, which if you're Japanese, and if you're Chinese, I don't know what it is, but you were actually in kanji, not katakana, because I can read some katakana. Okay, well, there's your same question, but with your name on it, and I already answered that for you. So, Raina, thanks for that. Toby, what are your favorite exercises for drive capping if we are talking extreme working line Mallies as puppies under 6 months? Well, great question. So drive capping is usually done with, in my opinion, things like tug. Getting the dog to tug out, miss, obedience. That's my number 1 most favorite way to cap a dog's drive. Salma, Sandoval. Should I get a harness for my Chihuahua puppy? You already asked me that question, Salma. Dober dogs forever. Advice for a doorbell and door exiting. Place command or e-collars. 4-year-old male and 8-year-old female Doberman. Excellent question. Well put. Both. I would use the place command as the default behavior I want the dog to exhibit. How I get the dog to do it would then go by how much pressure I need to put on the dog, how dominant the dog is. But yeah, you can use an e-collar and you can use whatever, but you need to use a tool to fulfill the behavior, right? So you need to make sure of that. Carla, how to curb my Malinois aggression to in-home visitors. You're amazing. Well, thank you very much. It's very kind of you, Carla. The way we curb aggression towards anything is we make sure the dog understands it. The dog should know what's going on in the experience. So in other words, if a dog is well versed in people coming in and leaving and doing all that stuff, the dog's not going to show any aggression. Rarely, if ever, if the dog has a good family structure. Now, if the dog is unfamiliar with the experience, you need to familiarize them with the experience, which you're going to do through structured interaction. You're going to have people come over, you're going to really work that behavior. And you can do that through the use of a place command, a long line, or a leash to control the dog. You don't want to set the dog up for failure. That's what most people do. That's the mistake most people make, is they set the dog up for failure by letting them fail, by not controlling the situation. Once the dog has that experience, the dog should be less likely to do it. Now, if the dog has underlying aggression to strangers, then you're not going to fix it, right? It's going to be a management situation the dog's whole life. But if the dog is just suspicious, and my dogs, when people come over, they bark and they jump and they're excited and they're doing this and they're doing that. And I just have people come in and I say, ignore the dog, come on in, coming downstairs, we're going to do our podcast, we're going to sit and chat, we're going to have a coffee or whatever. You need to make the experience as benign as possible for the person. Aran says, I have a 1-year-old Doberman. I wanted to introduce her to my cousin's 4-month-old German Shepherd. What are some things I should keep in mind when introducing it? Well, great, excellent question too. How is your Doberman with other dogs? You should have some experience of having seen them with other dogs. And puppies are going to be a whole different thing. So dogs generally know, just like humans, we know the difference between an adult and a baby. We're not going to be aggressive toward a baby, even if we have a horrible temper towards people. You need to make sure your dog is safe to meet the puppy. And then I would make sure they're on leashes. Don't have a tight leash. When I say leash, I like using a drag line, so if something goes wrong, I can control the dog back to me. I would keep the experience very, very short. I would do a stacked introduction, as I've shown on my member section, as well as here on YouTube. Have the dogs never meet nose to nose, have meet nose to tail. The puppy gets to sniff your dog gets to sniff the puppy. They maybe walk around the yard a little bit with you, and then you take them apart. Then you bring them back together. What happens, the mistake that happens when dogs meet other dogs is the excitement and the frustration or frustration can build, and the more it builds, the harder it is for the dog to recover and come back from that. And that's where you have problems. Let's see here. Terry says, is it necessary to neuter male dogs, and if so, at what age? So that's the $1 million question, right? Everybody's going to ask me how I feel about neutering, and I'm not a fan of it. I'll be really, really honest with you. I'm not a fan of it because I think what we're doing is creating another gender of dogs. We're creating a third gender. We're creating males, females, and then neuters. And the neuter can be males or females. They're spayed, they're fixed, or whatever you want to call it. They're desexed. And when you do that, the only reason, there's no real reason to do it. The reason people say to do it is because we need to stop the pet overpopulation problem. But the pet overpopulation problem is not a problem of unneutered dogs. It's a problem of moron owners, right? Backyard breeders, people letting their dogs in dog parks when they're in heat and intact mixed together. Those are all problems that are really easily solved through common sense. So, we don't neuter our children when we send them to school. We just hope that they have common sense not to do that. But you need to protect your dog because dogs don't have that common sense. They have the highest drive a dog has is procreation. That's why so many people get bit by having 2 intact dogs in a yard or something, or in a home. You must be able to control the dog. Early neutering has been proven to increase chances of cancer, increase chances of bone loss, a lot of behaviors. People will go against me. People who I've worked with for years and years and years in rescue will say, the overpopulation problem. I'm not denying that. I think the overpopulation problem in dogs is an issue. But it's an issue because people are not responsible with their dogs. And this is common. Janet goes to the park to do agility, and there's 15, 20 dogs running off leash. It's idiotic. There's no benefit to that because you have stupid, lazy owners texting on their phones, and you have dogs running out of control in the park. And by the way, a park that's not even fenced in. So I'm really against it. I'm really against both. If you have a dog should be your relationship, should be your commitment, and it should have a good life. Females, I see at a certain age to spay them because of the risk of pyometra. It can be dangerous, but I would at least let them go through a heat or two, let them get fully formed. I'm sorry, I'm just so against it. It's terrible. Will Estrella. I work 10 hours a day. Is it okay to leave my 2-month-old puppy? Thank you for everything you do for the dogs. No. I mean, you can't just leave a 2-month-old puppy for 10 hours a day. It's not good. I mean, why don't you see if you can't get a friend to come in a few times during the day? The dog's going to need some stimulation, right? It's going to need some interaction, some training. It's going to need to go for a walk. And you know, so you might say, well, I've got a dog run, I leave the dog in. It's not a good life for the dog at 2 months old to be left alone, because it's just past the weaning stage. It's starting to explore, it's starting to see things. And if it doesn't have that stimulation, it's not going to have it's not going to grow up to be a really good dog. And I'm telling you this, I'm totally going to be honest with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff. If you work that much, it's probably not a good time to get a dog. Someone needs to be with the dog, even if it's another dog that's really good. But a human interaction, dogs crave that. They need that. So that's what you need to think about that. So sorry, that may not be the answer you wanted, but that is the answer I give. Jack, my Rottweiler puppy is coming home in August. We have a 3-year-old tabby cat at home that is laid back and likes his space. How should we introduce them to each other? So here's the thing. You know, tabbies are really cool cats. I had a tabby when I was younger. You need to make sure that you're there to watch this interaction. You need to make sure you're there to structure the interaction. And more than likely, it can work out perfectly well. I know tons of people who have dogs and cats, tons of them. And a lot of them aren't even really good dog owners. So here's what you need to do. You need to get your puppy, your Rottweiler puppy, crate trained, square away. And you need to let the cat have freedom. You need to let the Rottweiler see the kitty walking around, getting petted by you, and you should hold the cat. The puppy should know the cat is important to you. And good things should happen when the cat comes out. You don't want to yell at the puppy, don't do that, or anything like that. Maybe feed the puppy. Maybe have the puppy eating a marrow bone or something, or a lamb bone when you've got the cat in your hand, and get the dog to see that cat is part of the landscape of where you live. And I think you should have an easier time with it. But please be careful. You know, go slow. But you're very, very smart to get a puppy, not a dog that might not be used to it. Aaron says, when I give my 2-year-old Patterdale larger treats like pig ear, bully stick, etc., she hides and rehides it and looks more stressed than joyful, sometimes whimpering. Should I stop trying this? I don't know why she's doing that. I mean, is she afraid you're going to take it away? I mean, that could be the only reason that a dog would do that. I mean, I would try to look further into the behavior. Maybe give her the treat in an area where you know she's going to be. Like, you know, if you're in your office, close the door and have her with the treat there, and make sure she enjoys it. You know, always make sure she enjoys it, because the dog should have the ability to enjoy a treat. I mean, I don't know why the dog's stressed. I would look more at why the dog is stressed and try to get to the bottom of that. Drawn Reb says, I have a 4-month-old male Goberian, and I want to get another puppy. Is it a good idea? No, not yet. Right? No. I would for sure, I would 100% wait until the puppy is a couple years old, right? And then it's not a puppy anymore. But at least 2-3 years old. You don't want dogs too close together. 1, they're going to get old together and die together. It's going to break your heart. And 2, you need to have a solid relationship with your current dog before you bring another dog in. So, guys, we're up to 223 people in this room right now, so I want to thank you guys for doing it. I love seeing more people here, more people interested in dog training. Like I said, Alan just put these hats on sale. They were $29. They're $20 during the show. Only during the show, by the way. If you don't order it now during the show, they're going back up to $29. So I'm only doing it. I'm going to do little sales like that to get more viewers and get more engagement. So, so thank you for being here. By the way, have you guys given the video a thumbs up? I know you need to go out to do that. Give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you'll be alerted for all the videos that come up. I just put up a really good video of the Akita Maximus with my friend Joey, and Maximus, this is his 2nd day of training. Really, really, really great stuff. Really, really great stuff. Thank you so much. I just saw those thumbs up come through. It helps it's not for me. It's for the algorithm. You're just doing it for the algorithm. Thank you. It's all algorithm stuff. Algorithm, subscriptions, algorithm. This puts the channel up in a better place in YouTube. Okay, what's this here? I watched your previous video. How did you learn all of this? 1 day at a time. 1 day at a time, and being extremely observant. Okay, Irene says, tips for training a stubborn Anatolian Shepherd. My boy is 7 months old. I can barely get him to hold a sit. The successful methods I use on my German Shepherd mix is not working on my boy. He's a lot more stubborn. You got an Anatolian Shepherd, right? You must understand the breed before you get it, right? You must understand the temperament of the dog you're getting. The greatest example of this, look at the video difference between the Akita Max puppy that I'm training and whose video just went up today. I mean, it's one of the top videos so far. It's trending very, very high. And then the video of Ziggy, the Malinois. One dog lives to train. One dog you have to force to train. And that's just the way it is. That's just the breed. That is what makes an Anatolian Shepherd an Anatolian Shepherd. It's stubborn. It's going to keep going in its way. So maybe watch the way I'm training with Max, because there's going to be more physical manipulation involved than luring and shaping with a stubborn dog, because a dog must know, he must listen. And with a dog like that, you're going to have to do that. Kyle. 2 5-month-old, okay. Did you ask this question before? Because 2 5-month-old German Shepherds, one is very calm outside the crate, and the other is still a little too high energy. Should we let the calm one out so this other can see how she is? Yes. You always teach through example, right? So if you have one dog acting very well behaved, that dog gets first treatment, gets greeted first, gets to play first, gets everything first. Then the other dog, when they calm down, which they're going to get first and foremost, as soon as you do that, the other dog's going to get wound up tighter. And what you need to do at that point is you need to hold to what you're doing. You need to not change that. And then when that dog finally comes down, then they get to come out. And then watch, like if the other one is more well behaved, then let that dog out first. Will. Okay, nice hat. I told you, this is a great hat. Any tips on weaning off of treat-reliant obedience without a hand in pocket or treat in hand with our 3-year-old Malmix, because mixed rescue isn't attentive. It's just a matter of reinforcing markers. Well, you need to get the dog off treats. I mean, I think it's a crippling thing. People who treat train, who always have to have a treat. They can't do anything. You say, hey, let me see your dog sit. Oh, hang on, let me go get a treat. It's ridiculous. It's utter nonsense. It's cruel to the dog, right? The dog must know, and the way we do that is through putting corrections in, right? If every time my dog needs a treat to sit, either I did a really horrible job of training the dog, or I did a horrible job of training the dog. Simple as that. The dog must listen. The dog must obey immediately. When I ask the dog to sit, if he doesn't, hey, correct the dog. Hey, I said sit. Good. He sits. Then that's what you want. Then reward the dog. Praise the dog, and then give him a treat. You need to back that way, way out. And by the way, I'm not being rough on you guys. This is just the way I talk. Jessica. Watch your balloon video with Goofy Dog Fears. Want to apply that to a baby pool with water and a hose for washing my 6-month puppy. Any advice on things to work up? Yeah, I talk about this. In fact, this has been really the topic of conversation for the last couple of days with people, is this whole bathing thing. And I guess maybe with summer coming, you guys are thinking more about bathing your dogs. Food. Feed the dog in the little baby pool. Get the dog in the baby pool with food. And the only time the dog's going to get fed is with that. It's the way I did it with Goofy with the balloons. It's the way I've done counter conditioning on any dog that has food drive. And by the way, all dogs have food drive. People are always going to say, well, my dog doesn't really have food drive. Well, then you're overfeeding your dog. Let's see here. Okay, 6-month-old Cocker Spaniel sometimes barks at strangers. Should I be concerned? No. Don't overthink it. Just tell him to sit. When he's quiet, good boy, that's it. Lab Mix Brothers. Any advice on overly playful 11-month-old Labradoodle that pulls on walks? Would a prong work? Probably. Please, if you're going to do a prong on your dog, use leash pressure. Watch the videos that I've posted on leash pressure and how to introduce a prong, and I think it'll work wonderfully. Okay, Raina, if you haven't seen the answer, I've posted it before. Toby, what are your favorite exercises for draft? Okay, for some reason they're repeating now. Okay, 2 trained dogs, 1 Malinois, 1 German Shepherd. How often should I do protection work with them to keep them in shape? Well, you're not doing protection work with the dog to keep them in shape. You're doing protection work with the dog to keep them sharp on their skill, on the protection dog skill. And I think you should, I mean, as often as possible. The more control you teach the dog, the better it is. Linda. Yellow hat is great. Tried to buy it on your website, but sale price is not activated. Can you help? Alan. Why? I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. I apologize. Alan said it's working, but I can't go there now while I'm doing this. It would be really a big distraction. I'm just going to tell Alan to look at it again. And you know what? Send a message to Alan. You can talk to him here in the chat about that. And I'm sorry. Riggin, I hope you're enjoying your vacation, Riggin. I know you just took off yesterday in your Lance Mobile, your big trailer. I'm jealous. I think that's a cool idea. Janet and I will do that at some point. We'll take a trip across the country. Riggin says, any suggestions to teach a Mastiff Pit to walk nicely on the leash? Can you use collar? Can't use collar due to esophagus issues. Friend just adopted him, needs help. Dog also will just stop and refuse to move. So when dogs have issues, you know, like esophageal issues or cervical issues in their neck, it makes it hard because that's one of the number one ways we used to communicate with the dog. What I would do is I would use an e-collar, right? Because with the e-collar, okay, Alan says people are already purchasing them. It's 100% working. So if it's not working, refresh the page. I'm sorry, Regan, I'm going back to the hat thing. I want to make sure you guys get the hat at the sale price. If you can't get it at the sale price, how about this? Send an email to me, to Alan at the website, and we'll make sure we get it taken care of for you. I promise that. If there's an issue, it's not coming up at $19.99, $20, whatever the price is, email me or email Alan at the website, fill out the contact form, and we'll get it for you, I promise. But they might sell out, and people have already bought them. Alan said we've already sold a few. Maybe a bunch, maybe all of them. So yeah, the e-collar, Regan, is going to be your best friend because you can use low-level stimulation to get the dog to move, and you can use more higher or mid-level stimulation to bring the dog's drives down and to correct the dog for doing things. So e-collar is really going to be your best friend. Really, really will be. Carlin. How do you feel about puppy training school, asking your dog to do things for the first time in such a high distracting environment? I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic because, you know, it shouldn't be, puppy training school should be very, very fair for the dog. You should be in an environment where the dog is safe and the dog is stimulated. But yeah, I mean, most things, you know, you'll be able to work through at home, but putting a dog in that distracting environment is really, really helpful for the dog to learn because everything is going to happen in a distracting environment. Jan and I were talking about that yesterday, how, you know, we have this, well, our friends, Joey and Yossi with Ziggy and Max, and we're in the park and, you know, and Joey suggested, hey, let's go, you know, to a friend's house and do it in their yard. And I said, well, that's going to, the hindrance there is you don't have the distractions. You want the distractions for a puppy. The boat sailor. Do Belgian Malinois breathe harder than other dogs? My 9-week-old breathes very hard, but yeah, I mean, Goofy's always panting. It's a higher drive dog. They will do that. How many hours a day, including nighttime, can a puppy be in the crate? Well, the dog needs regular crate time. Think about a baby in a bassinet. How many hours can it be in the bassinet? I don't know. What you need to do, the dog needs to be sure to get stimulation, and the dog needs to be sure to get training. The dog needs to be sure to get interaction, walks, potty breaks, and then the time when the dog is not supervised, that's when it should be in the crate. Okay, Alan says, see, this is Alan. He says, it's fixed. So maybe there was an issue. I don't know. But if Alan says it's fixed, it's fixed. I trust Alan implicitly. Christine says, question. Q means question, I think. Is it bad for an 11-month-old Labradoodle to eat Kibble so fast, eats 2 cups in under 2 minutes? Yeah, it is not good. So what I would suggest you do is get a slow feed bowl. Just order it because it's going to help you, and wet the food a little bit. It'll definitely help you. Is there a point when you are going too slow? Got my first Malinois, always had working cockers, 14 weeks old. I've had her for 5 weeks and I'm still hand feeding and basic luring, taking things very slowly. No. God bless you for doing that. I think it's awesome. That's going to just build more confidence in the dog, and then you'll need to if you've had working cockers and you know what working line dogs are, just go, but also keep an eye on the dog and on your relationship, and the dog will kind of start to tell you what you should be doing. It's a very, very, very good question, by the way. Ron, there you are. Oh, Ron, you asked me that question. Carolyn, okay, sometimes they repeat themselves. Now, Alan here posted this link. So I don't know if you can click on this or not, but it's in the description on the side or the comments down below, I should say. Okay, you already asked me that. I'm going to scroll way down and I'm going to miss somebody. I know I am. Okay, okay, let's see. Great dogs. Greetings from House Doberman. Shadow says, keep up the good work. Thank you so much for that. Very, very kind. Okay, this doesn't have a question on it, but I just bumped on it totally accidentally. What do you look for in a trainer when hiring one? What should your first session be like? And is it possible to do positive training with a Belgian Malinois? Okay, one, I look for somebody who has experience training in a way that I want to train. I want to know that if you're getting a Belgian Malinois, how many Belgian Malinois has that guy trained? Now, I don't always say that, because someone could be a really good trainer of working line dogs and maybe has never trained a working line Cocker Spaniel or something like that. But they should have experience with working line dogs, with higher drive dogs. That's the first thing. Your first session should be about establishing a relationship and cementing that bond between you and the dog. If the dog does everything for the trainer and that's all the trainer does is show off to you how great they are with the dog, useless trainer, right? The trainer's job is not to get the dog to do things. The trainer's job is to get you to be able to do things with your dog. I always stress on that so much with clients, that during that first session, I want to really get you to understand your dog. Then the third question, can a Malinois be trained with positive training? Yes, of course, but it can't be trained with positive only training. That's always the caveat. Sen says, a 5-month-old German Shepherd who barks at people and dogs on her walk, believes she does this out of fear. What can I do? Love your videos. Have a nice day. Well, if you think it's out of fear, then you need to build the dog's confidence. The way we build dogs' confidence is through giving them something to do. Sit down, stand, come, roll over, shake paw, whatever it is, play dead. Because once a dog has a job to do, the dog has more confidence because you can reward the dog for that. 240 viewers. That's awesome. I love it. I love, 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 love it. Okay, this is an excellent question right here. Maurice, you win the question of the day. Most important thing to train your new puppy first, and that is recall. Recall, recall, recall. There's 3 things all dogs should know. 3. 1, recall. 2, leave it. 3, stay. If your dog knows those 3 things, it's a safe dog. All pet dogs, every dog on the planet should know those 3 things. But the most important one is recall. Question of the day. Thank you so much. Wolf, okay, well, how often must a dog do their protection to be kept safe? Okay, I already answered that question. As often as possible. Okay, David, thank you very much. You ordered the yellow hat with the discount. By the way, post a picture. I think you're going to love it. I love it. I love this hat. Okay, Mitchell. 4-month Mal, training going well, but he doesn't like to play with me. What can I do? Want to reward him and have fun. There's a lot more to this, but try to make it simple. I'll tell you what I would do. I would have, first of all, if you have toys, the dog is getting toys or anything that will hinder a dog. If he doesn't have a good relationship with you or doesn't want to play with you, it will hinder him from doing that. So what I would do is I would isolate the dog as much as possible. I would have no treats, no toys, no nothing in the crate for a short duration of time, maybe an hour. And then when I took the dog out, I would tease him. So Ziggy was a hard dog to start to get to learn to do things like playing. And I used a flirt pole to build drive, and that video is going to be coming out in the next few weeks. And in fact, on my member section at robertcabral.com, which is the first time 50 minutes later I'm plugging my site, robertcabral.com, there is something called the Puppy Series. And the Puppy Series follows Max and Ziggy along from day one, or I should say week 1, lesson 1, all the way through. I think we're at week 12 now. And they're not up. We're not at week 12 by any means. I've been training, but putting those sessions up real slowly. But there's long ones. Yesterday's member lesson, today's YouTube lesson, I think is 6 minutes long. That complete lesson in the member section is 40 plus minutes. So you can see that. Okay. So Mel, okay, your dog's going to daycare, barks loudly, goes for the neck repeatedly, again, playfully is a way of changing it. Going for the neck is the way dogs play. Remember, dogs play fight. So the way they play is the way they would fight, but there's bite inhibition and control. So if you don't like the way the dog plays, when they do it, grab them by the scruff of the neck, say, hey, knock it off. Be firm with them, but don't be obstinate. Don't be a jerk to the dog. And correct the dog nice and hard. Then let the dog play again, right? So you need to kind of re-expose the dog after the correction. Too many people stop it and then put the dog away. And then the dog doesn't really know what to do. The dog is kind of come back the way they left. I never end the play session until it ends the way I wanted it to end. I know that sounds complicated, but that's the best I can do in that answer. So let's see. Let's see, Maurice. Most important thing, I already said that, already answered that one. And Maurice, there you are again. I'm going to scroll faster here because we're starting to run out of time. Aaron, I have a 1-year-old Doberman. I wanted to introduce her to my cousin's 4-month-old German Shepherd. What are things? I already answered that previously, but again, stacked introduction, nose to tail introductions, take them for a walk, short introductions. Don't let them get into playing too much because that's gonna bite you in the butt. Nathan. My 2-year-old Mal Border Collie sometimes snaps at me when I give him a nose smack. Well, that's because he doesn't like the nose smack, right? I mean, I probably wouldn't do a nose smack. I mean, it's not a communication that most dogs understand. I know why you're doing it. It's a lot of people do it. Scruff on the neck, hey, knock it off. Is probably going to be better. But when a dog sees something moving towards it, its natural tendency is to try to bite it. That's just natural. That's dogs following their DNA. All right, I'm looking through here. Okay, here's another one. I'm going to start to wind this down, guys. So remember, the hat is going to be on sale for another few minutes unless you send an email. It's $10 off. I think it's cool. I want to sell out of these. By the way, it's a limited edition hat. You're only going to get a few of these, and then they're gone. I think I ordered 20 of them. So 20 of them for the whole country because I can't ship them overseas. Best I can do. Rebel Leaf. My toy poodle Corgi mixed puppy is usually fine, but bares her teeth and growls a bit when she's tired and wanting to sleep. Should we just leave her alone in those circumstances? I would. The thing is, what happens if a dog is frustrated and then you try to change that in the dog, you're just going to increase the frustration. So what you want to do is make sure the dog is fine when he's not frustrated, and then that will carry over into the frustration. So you have to go back a couple steps and make sure the dog is not baring his or her teeth when he's not tired. That's going to be critical. Reactive 3-year-old Mal mix goes ballistic if there's moving soccer ball within 30 meters. Redirection tips. No, redirection tips. That's all you can do. You need to get the dog on a long line and have somebody kicking a soccer ball at 40 meters, right? And then if the dog's going to start to show some signs. Then at 35 meters, and when the dog starts to get into that. In other words, you don't want to put the soccer ball at 10 meters and have the dog so out of control that you can't correct it. But at 35, 40 meters, then you can start to tell the dog, hey, come here, boom, correct the dog, hey, come here. And when the dog gets to abundant praise, toy, tug, whatever it is, then let him back out. This will take time, especially with a Mal mix. Soccer balls are a big distraction. In fact, there's a video somewhere of Goofy just lying on a field with soccer ball going all around him. And it's, it's a lot of training. I mean, Goofy is a saint. Lydia, is it normal, understandable for a high drive, 1 year old, 1 year, 3 month male working line German Shepherd to still mouth when in drive? We work on impulse control every day, but I think he's just so keyed up sometimes. Yeah. 1 year, 3 months. I kind of read it. I was almost looking at saying 3 year. 3 year, it's not. Well, 1 year, 3 months until about 18 months to 2 years. They can still be a little bit stupid, right? They can still be a little bit overly playful. So yeah. Paul, learned so much from your Tug videos. Was wondering what size Tugs you recommend for medium-sized dogs, Staffy, Vizsla, and also a Yorkie. Well, a Yorkie, you're going to get a really small Tug, right? But also it's the thickness of the Tug. Like I order my Tugs, I like the Julius canines. I order them from Blue Collar. We have a link on the site for the Tugs I use. You might want to consider doing that. It'll probably get you a little bit better picture. Guys, I'm down to 5 minutes. So what I do with the last 5 minutes, I just scroll through the comments and I just pick random ones. So let me see here. Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing questions. Oh, here we go. I'm not seeing questions. Here's one. Here we go. Miss Dre. My Malinois goes crazy when people come to visit. I place him, but he still goes crazy when he's released. Well, then you put him back, right? He must be released. And when you release him, he should be on a line so you can control it. But the minute he acts stupid, he goes back to the place. So you're going to always keep repeating without too much frustration the command, go back to your place, go back to your place. Okay. I'm scrolling, looking for question marks. Here's one from Lee. Thoughts on the Doberman Bulldog? I own one. It's a great dog crossed with American Bulldog. So high energy and stubborn. Do you agree with strong and fair owner equals a balanced dog? Yes. I don't agree with mixing breeds like that, by the way. And it's not that I'm an expert on breeding. I'm not. I know very little about it, but what I do know is that there's a lot of inherent things that need to be looked at before you do a mix like that, like a Doberman and a Bulldog. It's a span of dogs that you're kind of mixing together. But yeah, bottom line is a strong, fair dog owner always will equal a balanced dog. Always, always, always. Let's see. Okay, so here's a question. This will be an interesting. By when should a pup be weaned off treat-based training? At about the year mark, right? Now that means if you get the dog at 2 years, it's going to take a year after that, because it's kind of a trick question. If I said, by the time they're a year old, well, what if you started at 7 months old? It's going to take about a year to lure and shape the behaviors. And there might be new things you might add into your training that you'll need to add the lure back in on, right? So if you're teaching them something new, then you'll add the lure, which is going to be the treat, back in, and then wean it off after a few months or whatever, once the dog understands it. The initial phase is going to be about a year. Then it should be a few months. But yeah, you should not have the dog on treats for forever. Okay, last question. I'm just scrolling all the way down. Let's see. Here. This is a very common question I always get. Dova, tips on becoming a dog trainer. Love your videos. Well, you're on the right path because you're following me and you're seeing how I do it. So the first aspect of becoming a dog trainer is to understand dogs. And the more different dogs you understand, the better it is. The easiest way to do that is, in my opinion, volunteer with a rescue or a shelter or something like that so that you can get around different dogs. So that's really critical. You don't want to just, I trained my German Shepherd. That's not enough. You need to be able to have trained many different dogs. Volunteer to shelter, volunteer to rescue, watch good dog training, go to dog trials, go try to shadow somebody who you admire. By the way, I don't take shadow students, but that would be the way I would do that. And on that, I'm going to end it because it's 9:59, which means I have exactly 1 minute to get over into the member section. And guys, if you're members of robertcabral.com, if you're not a member of robertcabral.com, join. Run over to robertcabral.com. It's a super great deal. I mean, you will get so much for your money. I promise you. So many people who are here can tell you that they're members and they love the membership section. They really, really do. So join robertcabral.com. It's a deal of a lifetime. There's, I think, 2,600 minutes of dog training instruction. It's insane how much video there is. and it's updated constantly. Constantly. Also, weekly I do a Q&A, so questions are answered from members. If you're not a member, run over and join, because I'm going to be there in about 1 minute, guys. Give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 200,000 in the next few weeks, and I think we're going to make it. I'll see you. Take care. Thanks so much for joining.